George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation. We're pleased to be joined by the president of Onondaga Community College, Dr. Warren Hilton, who is in the house. Just a quick little update about some things going on at the college on the hill, the other hill, right? Or the other hill, the other hill, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk. So Micron was here this week, and I know that you and Micron, the college and Micron, have a particular partnership. Let's talk about what OCC and Micron have got cooked up together.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me, George. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. And yeah, the Micron partnership with OCC is great. Before I talk about that, I must say Micron has been a great partner with the community thus far. The part of the reason they were here, as some people know, was they opened the exhibit at the Most on Monday, this past Monday. Fabulous exhibit that is really going to show the community what semiconductor is all about, what microchips are, and the evolution of microchips. So it's a wonderful thing, and it builds right upon their partnership with the YMCA as well as OCC. And so we're excited. We just wrapped up in July CHIP Camp, which is the middle school program related to STEM and semiconductor. We had individuals from middle schools, Syracuse City School District, Onondaga Nation School, rural Oswego school districts, as well as East Syracuse Manoa. So one of the most diverse CHIP camps, if not the most diverse CHIP camp in Micron's history, happened right here in Central New York. We had the Girls Going Tech program with Micron, where we had young ladies learning about STEM activities, but not just learning about it, but having mentorship and opportunities to talk to women in STEM and understand what it's like to be a woman in the STEM field and what it means and how you can be successful. And now, leading into the fall semester, which starts in a few weeks, we're our electromechanical degree program, which we created with Micron's input, is launching. So that is the 1-year certificate or 2-year associate's degree that lead to those jobs in the semiconductor industry. I'm happy to say at present at this taping, the day cohort of 18 students is full.
Wow.
I believe we have 1 or 2 spots left in the night cohort. So we're very excited about that. I'll put a plug in if anybody's listening to your show who is an engineer and wants to teach at OCC. We need more professors. If we can get more professors, we can offer more coursework and accept more students into that program. And, you know, a part of the contribution to OCC from Micron means that we have scholarship money to be able to award to needy students coming into that electromechanical degree program. So, you know, we're cooking that up, and then in the
Before
fall,
you go, before you let's step back for a minute on this electromechanical degree program. You said it's a 1-year certificate, but is it a 2-year program? Explain.
It's 2 different things. We have a 1-year certificate in electromechanical technology.
Okay.
So that gets you all of what you need to land an entry-level job in the semiconductor industry.
Okay.
Micron would call that their technician 1 position.
Mm-hmm.
Those jobs are making near, $100,000 a year.
For 1 year.
For 1 year of training, you can be making near $100,000 a year at Micron. And those skills are transferable into other places like Infogon, Next Gen System that are all right here in Central New York, as well as some other advanced manufacturing organizations. So that program not only gets you to Micron, it can get you to other places. I can't guarantee you're going to be making near 6 figures at those other places, but their salaries are pretty good as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a 2-year associate's degree that builds upon that 1-year certificate that gets you some more skills and training in the industry and can help you start out at a little bit higher level. So the first year of the associate's degree is the equivalent of the certificate program. And so we're starting to build programs that stack upon each other. So you can imagine if an individual comes here for a year, says, I got the certificate, I'm going to go out and work. While I'm working, I'm going to finish off the associate's degree so I can continue to get promoted in the industry and make even more money and have even more success in my career.
Let's talk about, before you continue on what's going on in the fall, the prerequisite for getting into a program like that. What do I need to have?
You need to have a high school degree or GED. That is the base requirement. We always talk about aptitude in math. It does not mean you need to be a math genius, but there is some math coursework for technical disciplines where you need to understand things like fractions and converting things from different units of measurement. So that's very critically important. And you need to be the type of person who likes to fix things, work with your hands, and fix things, right? And so if we can imagine what a clean room is, a clean room is all big robots, and the technicians that work in that clean room environment make sure the robots are running properly. And when they're not running properly, make sure that they get them back on track to run properly. So it's very different from an engineer's job in a clean room, right? And Micron generally has two types of technicians. One they call I believe they call it an equipment technician, and that is the person who puts the gown on, the bunny suit as they call it, and goes into the clean room. And then they have a process technician, which is the person who's monitoring all the robots, from outside of the clean room. And so, there's those different types of jobs that exist at that technician level. And that's what we're training folks for here at OCC. So those are the basic kind of requirements. So if you're the type person that likes to fix things, and let's just say, you know what, I didn't do very well in math in high school or whatever, that's okay. You can brush up on those math skills. You can get some additional training, pick up. I mean, you can Google how to do things now. You can use AI to teach you how to do fractions and all this kind of stuff. And be prepared to come into a program that's going to land you in a very rewarding career, making more than a sustainable wage, which is what we want for all of our community. And I joke about it, but it's true. I say sometimes I don't care if you're from Penn State or from the state penitentiary. I don't care if your name is Haley or Habiba, Michael or Muhammad. This degree program or certificate program is for you. If you like to fix things, you're good with your hands, and you have an aptitude to work with robots. And most of us do, right? Think about in our communities now, we have small children who are learning how to talk, who can pick up an iPad and work an iPad better than me and you can.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So the proficiency is there, the skill level is there, and what we're doing here at OCC is giving them that appropriate training to put on top of that ability to fix things and work through problems with computers in order to work in a clean room environment.
Going back to the math, because when you think of technical, you think of the math. So let's call it out. Is it course one? Is it calculus? Is it geometry? Is it algebra? Like, what do I have
Yeah,
to know for real, for real?
it's actually
Or is it any of those things?
it's not. It really isn't. It's things that we all learned that we may be rusty on,
Oh,
right? So
okay. All right.
fractions,
Yeah.
how to convert units of measurements, right? So
Okay.
we
All right.
learned all of those things.
Yeah.
Those are the critically important things when you think about working in a technical discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but it's things that often trip people up if you haven't had math or you're not good at math. And so the way our coursework is being offered, we're offering it in small chunks, 1 and 2 credits. There are some 3 credit courses that are general electives, but we're offering it in small chunks so that if for some reason a person gets tripped up at a certain spot in the degree, it's easier for us to have them go back at another point and pick up 1 or 2 credits as opposed to going back and picking up 3 or 4 or 5 credits at a time. And so our faculty, I have to applaud them, developed this curriculum in what I consider to be a very innovative way when we think about how most of higher education ran.
So you were talking about, we're talking with Dr. Warren Hilton, President OCC Onondaga Community College in Syracuse. So you were getting ready to, you talked about the things that are happening. What else is going on in the fall? You said in the fall, you were about to
Yeah.
say, yeah.
So in the fall, there's a couple things we're going to do. So we did get state and county funding. I'm very thankful for our county legislature as well as the state governor and the legislature for giving us capital funding. And a part of that capital funding is going towards building a clean room simulation laboratory on our campus. So in the fall, we're going to release the initial preliminary renderings of what that clean room simulation laboratory is going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to be very exciting. And I need to kind of put a pin in that and say, why is it a clean room simulation laboratory instead of a full blown clean room? And there's multiple reasons for that. One of the biggest reasons for me wanting the simulation laboratory is because if you have a full clean room, you can't have people under the age of 18 walking through that space because there's very toxic chemicals that can harm people. The equipment and things of that nature is really not conducive to having, say, a middle schooler walk through and participate in.
Mm-hmm.
We're building something where the community will actually be able to not only see it from the outside, but under the appropriate supervision, can actually put the suit on and walk through the space to understand what it's like to be in a clean room environment. So we're going to be doing that in this fall. We have some exciting news that will be released as well about a partnership that we're doing. I'll just say we're doing with a transfer agreement with a local institution, and their mascot rhymes with Borange. Um, uh, so we're very pleased about that and the work that we're able to do with our four-year institutional partners
Mm-hmm.
to really build the future workforce for the semiconductor industry right here in Central New York. So outside of that, think about all of the jobs that are going to be created because of Micron coming here, not only in semiconductor,
Mm-hmm.
in business fields, healthcare, education. And so we're ramping up computers, cybersecurity. So we're ramping up and figuring out ways to expand our capacity in those fields as well. So we doubled the size of our surgical technology degree program so that when Upstate and Krause and St. Joe's needs more of these surgical technicians, we'll be able to provide those, right? We're looking at even fields like our culinary management program. How can we continue to expand that? Because all of the restaurants and hospitality, we were just out at Turning Stone and seeing the expansion that they're going to be doing, right?
Yeah.
They're going to need more culinary workers there and hospitality management workers. Those are all people that we produce here at OCC. Think about automotive field, right? You can't find enough mechanics right now. So we're going to be expanding our automotive technology program and getting into, things like alternative fuels and heavy equipment, right? All of those industries that as 81, the 81 project and Micron come on board, that we're going to need more workers. We just started our construction management program, right? These are the people who manage these large construction projects. There's not enough of them today in our region. We're going to be producing more of those individuals as well. So all of that is coming this fall at OCC, and we're looking to do even more. We're expanding our athletics program. We're going to add competitive cheer this year as a varsity sport. So anybody out there who's interested in competitive cheer and wants to continue at the collegiate level, we'll be able to do that as well. So just a lot of exciting things, George, that are going on this fall at OCC.
Let's go back to Micron and the community engagement committee's meeting this week.
Yeah.
If you were sitting at the table with the community, what would you be talking about in terms of community priorities? What would you have contributed that you haven't already named?
Yeah, the math. If you're in the community, get online, do some YouTube, whatever it is, and just some basic conversions, fractions, make sure you're up to speed and get other people up to speed on that. Also, some people think that semiconductor careers are not accessible to them, and that is far from the truth, right? You don't need to be a genius and have an IQ off the chart. You need to have an aptitude and want to be able to fix things, right? And be good with your hands. And good with your hands, most people are. I mean, I have nieces and nephews that play video games that I could never do with my hands, right? And then the other thing is, let's all work together to figure out all of these other things that would trip people in our community, no matter whether you're from the inner city, suburbs, rural, that will trip people up from being able to access the education at OCC and SU and Lemoyne and Oswego, transportation, right? We're working on a project right now with Lyft to subsidize rides for our students.
Mm.
We're going to try to put that in place for this academic year as a pilot to see how it goes. We have the electronic scooters on our campus now. Our students love that because that's an alternative form of transportation to get them to and from the places they need to go. Childcare, right? How do we solve that childcare issue? We have a childcare learning center on campus, but we also have a parent and adult learner suite on campus where if you're grandma can't watch your kid and you got to go to a study group, you can meet in that space. There's a playroom for your kid, and there's a room for you to study and work with your group. We have diapers in there, we have baby and children's clothing in there, and we have a lactation room in there, right? So we're trying to work with the community to figure out all of those solutions to the problems that will trip people up, no matter whether you have $0 in the bank or $1 million in the bank. That's what I would contribute to say we all need to get together and work. I grew up in Philly. I know this first time I heard this saying was probably about 10 years ago. There's enough with Micron and everything that Micron is going to be bringing to our community for all of us to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has to compete, right? We all can eat. And that's a wonderful thing. So we should all work together on that.
Um, I know that you're also going to get into the weed business, if
Yes.
you will. So let's.
We're already in it. Not selling it. Okay, not selling it.
No,
We're
but it's
training.
it's
Yeah.
just so interesting this whole way that this has gone with and now we don't call it even weed, it's cannabis.
Cannabis. It's cannabis. Yes. So we started in January. We launched our cannabis education program with our partners at Cleveland School of Cannabis. They're one of the experts in cannabis education. So we have an online asynchronous program with 3 tracks. If you want to work at a dispensary, we have a dispensary training track, which teaches you the ins and outs of how to work at a dispensary, how to be in compliance, all of those things. If you want to work for a company like Beacon Skiff that does cultivation, we have a cultivation track
Mhm.
where you learn how to effectively grow the plant and keep the plant alive and do it the right way, right? So you don't cost your employer millions of dollars if you make a mistake. And then we have an extraction track, which is taking the plant and then extracting it into all of the products that are typically sold at a dispensary. So we're covering it from the ground until the retail operation. You can do 1 track, you can do all of those tracks, and we actually have a cannabis corporate advisory board that is giving us the feedback that we need to keep evolving that program so that people who complete our program, they actually are gainfully employed, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what we're about here at OCC. When you finish a program here at OCC, you should either have a job or you should be transferring to a four-year institution. And so the cannabis education program is world class. It's affordable, ranging from, I believe, the dispensary check is in the neighborhood of $500 to $600, and then the most expensive track, which is the cultivation track, is right around $1,000. And we'll be releasing this fall, if all goes well, an opportunity with a company that will actually provide a low interest, what they're telling us is a low interest loan for anybody that $500 or $1,000 is too much.
Hmm.
So we're very pleased to be able to provide these solutions. Again, whether you have $0 in the bank or $1 million in the bank, OCC is a place where you can belong.
You've been hustling, huh?
Yeah, we've been working over here. Our faculty have been excellent creating curriculum. Our staff have been wonderful in supporting our students. And we put more staff in place to help our students be successful. We created 9 new positions around student success, where these individuals are going to be reaching out to students on a regular cadence. 3 to 4 times a semester, checking in on students, making sure they have what they need, making sure they're progressing to their completion. And then we built in the career services aspect right from the beginning. So when you come to OCC, we want you to meet with somebody in our career services operation to help understand where you want to go in your career and get you lined up for particular opportunities that make sense for you. Maybe it's an internship, maybe it's a research, maybe it's some community service. Whatever it is, we wanna work with students right from the beginning.
I have a perception issue.
Okay.
Issue or question, right? Perception, issue, or question. Um, the night student. I remember back in the day, it was very easy for night students to take classes. And when I started looking around, maybe I wanted to pick up, I didn't really see that sort of accessibility
Yeah.
as I have seen in the past. And I think part of it is just the college has shifted. It's got on-campus housing now, and so you have a lot more emphasis on the daytime student. Is my perception wrong about that or not?
I would say yes and no. I would say as enrollment has declined over the years at all community colleges, right, it caused a protraction where you had to put your resources in one location.
Mm-hmm.
And the daytime made sense for many community colleges to focus in on. Now, the no part to my answer is you just heard me say for electromechanical degree program, we intentionally built a day cohort and a night cohort because we knew there would be many working professionals who are working during the day
Mm-hmm.
that they needed to have something in the evening. So we still have quite a bit of classes in the evening. And then the other piece of the puzzle is we have 100% online degree programs. So that's not day or night, that's online whenever you're up. So if you're the type of person who does homework and wants to get your classwork done at 2 a.m., you can jump on. It's asynchronous. You can do your work at 2 a.m. If you want to do it at 2 p.m., you could do it at 2 p.m. And those 2 degree programs are health information technology and creative writing. Health information technology is a field now where a lot of the hospital systems can't find enough workers. Those are the behind the scene people who work with the medical billing, the coding, all of those things, and the patient, you know, interaction with patients in terms of billing and those type of things. A lot of those individuals now work from home.
Mm.
And so it only makes sense that that degree program is online. So that's accessible to anyone in the country, not just folks here in Onondaga County in our region.
Well, I just think it's pretty impressive that the president of the college is so into all of the different offerings.
I am a geek about all of this
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
I
Yeah, right,
really
right.
and I tell you why, George. I mean, honest to goodness, I tell you why. You know, I grew up in Philly. I know we got the rivalry between the Sixers and the Knicks. I still love you, George. Uh, uh, but it's life or death to me. That's the way that I look at my job. If if somebody comes to OCC or any other institution of higher education and they have a goal in mind for their life and their career and they're not successful, what are their outcomes? We know from research their health outcomes become poorer, their economic outcomes become poorer. And if you grew up in a place like where I grew up, you know, I talk about I have 5 friends, 3 of them that did not get higher education. One is unfortunately dead because he tried to start his own pharmaceutical business.
Hmm.
I'll just leave it at that.
Huh? Uh-huh.
The other one's been in and out of jail, and
Hmm.
you know the other one is in jail for life.
Mm.
Um,
And these are
so
5 people in your cohort.
5 people that I grew up with in my neighborhood. These are the guys that I played ball with when I was 5, 6 years old, all the
Hmm.
way through high school. The two that got one is a barber. He went on and got trained to be a barber. He's doing well. The other one graduated from Temple University. He works as an operations manager in manufacturing. He's doing well. So that's why I geek over this because I know if we can help people, and it doesn't matter. Like I grew up poor, yes, but even if you grew up rich, if you don't get this education, it may not be jail for you. It may be some other poor outcome for you if you don't get the education and can become self-sufficient. Yes, you have money in the bank, but we often see the depression, the anxiety that exists because that person is not in a career that they're enjoying. And so for me, that's why I geek out about this because it's life or death. What we're doing is that serious that it could have an impact on people's lives in ways that are transformative.
And when you think about that, and as we wrap, this question about reentry, right? Because just to your point, you have 2 of your friends who are dancing around. One is already
Yeah.
is away, and the other one play is back and forth. So this retraining and the reentry and the support that population
Yeah.
needs, and also how we see and accept people as they return to the community. I think that's also a life and death situation because oftentimes communities aren't ready, or they aren't open, or
Yeah.
they're not positioned to offer the supportive services that people need.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we started having some initial conversations around how OCC can be a part of being a part of the educational journey of those returning citizens, right? And it's tough. It's tough. Even with our creative writing degree, I've seen I've listened to some podcasts and read some books, and I'm like, I read the bio of the author, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this person was in prison for 20 years, and they wrote this amazing book,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their livelihood. We have a graduate that some people know, local Damon, um, and his journey included some questionable practices, he would say, and now he has his own book out, right? And so, can we offer that 100% creative writing degree with the use of what I believe people call second chance Pell, the
Mm-hmm.
ability to use the Pell Grant if you're incarcerated, right? To educate these individuals on how to be creative writers so that they can take hold of their own journey.
Yeah.
I can write a book, I can write whatever it is, a blog that will make them some financial, that will sustain them financially. So, we're thinking about all of those things. We're thinking about foster care youth who are aging out of the system. individuals with intellectual disabilities. OCC has been working in that space, and now we're trying to expand our program to help individuals with intellectual disabilities to obtain, whether it's obtain a certificate or a degree or a life skill. I mean, many of you, many people, your listeners probably have seen or heard about the movie Barbie, and the new Barbie doll that was created with the help of one of our alumni from OCC, Kayla McEwen,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
has Down syndrome.
Mm.
So the new Barbie doll that has Down syndrome, right? Kayla is a prime example of what we're trying to do, right? Take an individual who to no fault of their own, has something like Down syndrome or Asperger's or autism, or you fill in the blank with an intellectual disability, and giving them the skill and education. For some, it'll be just what Kayla got, a degree. For others, it might just be a skill set, right? It might be, hey, can you come and, get some training in culinary management and work in a restaurant.
Mhm.
For others, it might be cannabis. Can you come in, understand how to work in a dispensary and go work in a dispensary? So, so we're thinking about all of those populations because, as I said earlier, I believe the investment in Central New York by Micron and others. We talk a lot about Micron, but there's Amazon, there's the Infocons of the world, there's Lockheed, there's a lot of organizations for profit that are investing in Central New York. And how do we leverage that investment so everybody in the community can eat and have and thrive, right? That's what it's all about. And we have that opportunity right here in Central New York. So let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen with Dr. Warren Hilton, president of Onondaga Community College, SUNYOCC.edu. Have a good one, my brother.
Yes, sir. You too.
Inspiration for the nation.